How is it possible that one of the most powerful tax tools that's available to business owners is also one of the least talked about? Now, that's not a trick question. It's really just the reality of cash balance plans. Okay, so if you're running a very profitable business and you're paying a tax bill that keeps climbing, there's a good chance that nobody has ever brought this up to you before, and really, that's exactly why we're here. Um, if you haven't seen the previous videos I've posted on cash balance plans, here's a quick recap. Okay, so a cash balance plan is really a type of retirement plan, but it's built differently than anything you've probably used before. Okay, so it's really designed for business owners who are profitable. They have a real tax burden, and they want to shelter some of that money from income taxes. Okay. Now, in some cases, we're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. Okay, depending on your age and your income. Okay. But now, before we get into who runs this kind of thing, let's talk about what's actually happening real quickly inside a cash balance plan. Okay, so every year a contribution goes into the plan on your behalf, on the business owner's behalf. That contribution is a tax deduction for your business. So that money grows inside the plan and eventually comes out as retirement income. Okay. So the IRS now, they set the limits on how much can go in each year. And those limits are significantly higher than a traditional IRA and a 401k. Okay. And that's the whole point. All right. That's the whole point of these plans. All right. But here's what separates a cash balance plan from the simpler retirement accounts is that it requires a team of professionals for it to run correctly. Okay. So this isn't something you open on an app and try to manage yourself. Okay. Now, let me walk you through the team, okay, because this is important. All right. First, you have what I think is the most important member of the team, and that's the actuary. Now, they're what's called an enrolled actuary. Okay. Now, this is the person who does the math. Okay. They calculate exactly how much can go into your plan each year based on your age, based on your income, based on how the plan is structured. Okay. And they can run you through all kinds of different scenarios um, and run it in all different shapes and sizes, so to speak. Okay. Because sometimes it's not a one size plan fits all. All right. Now, the IRS requires a licensed actuary for a cash balance plan. Okay. They're not optional. And again, these folks, they're an enrolled actuary. All right. And then after that, you have the third party administrator, okay, sometimes referred to as the TPA. All right. They handle the plan documents, like the compliance testing, and the annual government filing as well. Okay. So think of them as the back office operation that keeps everything legal and on schedule year after year. Okay. All right. Now, then you have your CPA. Okay. So they're not usually running the plan. All right. That's a big misconception that comes up a lot, but they do need to be in the loop. Okay. The contributions you're making run through your business taxes. So your CPA has to understand what's going on, when it's going on, and how it affects your return. Okay. Because the whole reason you're doing this is to save on your tax liability. Okay. So if you don't loop your CPA in, it really defeats the purpose. All right. So they need to be fed information on what you're doing with the cash balance plan so that they can appropriately file your tax returns so that you receive the benefits. Okay. All right. And then you have the financial advisor. Okay. That would be someone like a registered independent advisor or someone like myself. Okay. They're the ones that are managing the investments inside the plan. Okay. And they're typically the ones that are coordinating with the actuary, with the third party administrator, and with your CPA, okay, to make sure everything is working together and everybody's getting the appropriate information that they need, okay, so that nothing falls through the cracks. All right. Sometimes you'll hear the phrase, advisors may say they're the ones that quarterback um, the whole plan, okay. um, but you don't have to manage any of these relationships. That's really what the financial advisor is there for, okay. um, so with that said, here's really the bottom line, or a quick bottom line is, if your tax bill as a business owner, all right, is growing year over year, and nobody has ever mentioned to you a cash balance plan before, okay, that's a gap worth closing. That's something worth educating yourself on, okay. Now, this setup involved, okay, and that's why the team exists, all right. But being inside one is it can get complex, but that's where it's beneficial to have the right team members, okay. So remember, you make the deductions, or sorry, you make the contributions, you'll receive deductions, and then the plan runs year after year, okay. Um, Now, uh, with that said, okay, if this sounds like something worth looking at for your situation, you can head over to zenfp.com. You can book a 20-minute virtual with me directly, or also link is in the description below. But there'll be more to follow. I'll try to continue to educate folks on the cash balance plan. So certainly there'll be more to follow. Okay. But with that said, till next time.